repeat the prayers after me. Om Sadashiva Samaham Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Om
Sadashiva Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyamam
Acharya Madhyamam
Madhacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam
Madhacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam.
Om Sahana Vavatu
Om Sahana Bhavatu
Navavatu
Sahanau Bhunaktu
Sahana Bhunaktu
Sahaviryam Karvavahai
Sahaviryam
Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So good morning to all of you all.
Good morning, Acharya.
Good morning.
We will start again. So we'll just chant the first two verses. Last class we had finished the first verse of the first chapter. So we'll just chant the first two verses and then we will start off the explanations. Please unmute yourself. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre Samaveta
Mamakav Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya
Amaka Kurvata
Jaya
Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam
Drishtva tu
Pandavanikam
Vyudham Duryodhanastada
Duryodhanastada
Acharyam Upasangamya
Acharyam
Charyam
Upasangamya
Raja Vachanam Abravit
Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Okay, so I'm muting all of y'all and then we'll discuss. So in the last class, we had finished verse number 1 and we had talked about various types of sadhana. So remember what we had said, that for the purpose of our spiritual journey, we need both the instruments which we have, the mind and the body, in good condition. And the first sadhana is arogyam. You have to ensure that your body is in good condition. And that is why it said health is wealth. Health of the body, never neglect. And therefore, yogasanas are indicated. The second sadhana is that your mind must be always in control. So, damaha, one of the traditional sadhanas which you can do is pranayama, because pranayama, is good for mind control. And then we also said dhamma is there. You must move away from sense organs. Sense organs have to be controlled. Mind has to be controlled. Body and mind both should be healthy. So we have talked about 3 sadhanas. Now, Sanjay moves on. So, first question was from Dhritarashtra. Okay, what did he say? He was asking, what are my people and the Pandavas doing in the battlefield? Hey, Sanjaya. Here starts Sanjaya. So, Sanjaya's reply is here. And we'll go with the same pattern that we are doing. First, I'll explain the words. I'm not going too much into Sanskrit details. So anybody who has Sanskrit knowledge, you would understand immediately. Those who don't have, for their benefit, briefly, if at all anything is there grammatically, I will explain very briefly. If you understand, fine. If you don't, also it's okay, as long as the overall meaning of the word is understood. So Sanjayaha Uvacha. So remember that in Sanskrit, the subject case, what we call Prathama Vibhakti, the speaker in this case, is indicated by the Visarga, the two dots. So though in the Gita itself, though in the text, you will not see a dot, you will not see the Visarga after Sanjaya. When you are writing it grammatically, you have to say Sanjayaha Uvacha. Sanjaya said. And what did he say? Look at the words. Drishtva tu Pandava Nikam Vyudham Duryodhanaha and Tada. So Duryodhanas, that Sa indicates the joining. The Sandhi has come into effect. So what has happened is that two words are there, Duryodhanaha and Tada. And when Duryodhanaha has joined with Tada, the Visarga has been converted into half Sa, and therefore it has become Duryodhanas Tada. And so when you break the Sandhi Vichcheda, as we call it, you will make it Duryodhanaha plus Tada. The Sa is, half Sa is dropped. Then Acharyam Upasangamya. So that one word, second word, Acharyam Upasangamya, you break it into Acharyam plus Upasangamya. Then Raja is Raja. And very carefully, Vachanam Abravita. So I explained in the last class that unlike Hindi, Sanskrit always has a akara attached to the word. So Vachanam Abravita it becomes. When you break the word, it becomes Vachanam plus Abravita. It is not Vachanam Bravita. Because Hindi you will read as Vachanam. But if in Sanskrit you want it as Vachanam, you have to have a halant, that small little mark. Small line is below the ma. So when you break it, it will be Vachanam Abravita. That is why when joined together, you still pronounce it Vachanam Abravita, because the ma drags on into the akara. So Vachanam Abravita. I hope I am being clear. Any questions? Small little explanation, but necessary for understanding how the pronunciations take place.
It's clear.
Okay. Right. Then he says, Tada tu Vyudham Pandavanikam Drishtva Raja Acharyam Upasangamya Duryodhanaha Vachanam Abravit. This is the full Anvaya. Okay. Tada tu Vyudham Pandavanikam Drishtva Raja Acharyam Upasangamya Duryodhanaha Vachanam Abravit. What does it mean? Tu. Now, tu is not the Hindi tu. What does the Hindi tu mean?
You. Addressing you.
Yeah. But tu in Sanskrit means but. Remember that. Tu means but. Tu. But. Drishtva. So, look at the individual words. We'll start from the individual words. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said. So, for Sanskrit students, if you have Sanskrit, Sanjaya is Kartari to Uvacha. It is the subject to the verb Uvacha. Sanjaya Uvacha. Drishtva. Having seen. From the root drish, to see. Drishta, having seen. Pandava Nikam has to be broken into Pandava plus Anikam. Pandava plus Anikam. Anikam means army. Pandava Anikam means army of the Pandavas. So Drishtva tu Pandava Anikam. Having seen the army of the Pandavas, then Vyudham. Vyudham is a formation. The battle formation is called Vyudham. Duryodhanaha. So again, as I said, when you break Duryodhanaha, it becomes a subject case. Therefore, Duryodhan is the subject for the verb. Which verb? Abravit, spoke. Duryodhana abravit. Duryodhan spoke. Then Rajaha, king. Vachanam. Vachanam means words. Abravita spoke. Acharyam is the teacher. Upasangamya approached. Okay, so now if you put it into words, you will be able to make out much better. You make sentences out of the whole thing. This is the meter form. This is the verse form. Now let's make a sentence out of it. So we'll say, first sentence is Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said. The second sentence, now remember here is the key in understanding scriptures is that I need to explain why it's like this. Normally in Hindi, when you say that maine phal khaya, I ate a fruit. Right? So there is a format, there is a particular structure. The subject is there, the verb is there, and the object is there. So if you said in English, I ate a fruit, I am the subject, ate is the verb, and fruit is the object. Now you cannot say, to convey the meaning of I ate a fruit, you have to maintain the structure in English. I ate a fruit. You cannot say fruit ate I. You cannot interchange the subject and the object, nor can you interchange the verb. You cannot say I fruit ate. You're getting what I'm saying? So there is a structure in English. Similarly, in Hindi, maine phal khaya has to be maine phal khaya only. It can be maine khaya phal. Okay, to an extent you can say that, but you cannot say phal khaya, phal maine khaya. I mean, the structure has to be such that there has to be a subject, there has to be a verb, there has to be an object. So I ate the fruit cannot be replaced by fruit ate me. Meaning changes completely. Phal ne mujhe khaya. That you cannot say, right? So the placement of the object and the subject is very important in Hindi and in English, or most languages for that matter. That is because the placement indicates whether it is subject or object. So here the subject is Kartari. Now, how is this in Sanskrit? How is it known which is the subject? By a very simple thing. There is a case ending which we call Vibhakti. So if you look at the first word, Sanjaya Uvacha, I said that you put a Visarga after Sanjaya. So that Visarga makes it Prathama Vibhakti. Sanjaya Uvacha. So if you're saying Sanjaya ate a fruit, you will say Sanjayaha Phalam Khadati. Sanjaya eats the fruit. Okay. Now, in Sanskrit, because of the fact that the Visarga indicates the subject, Prathama Vibhakti, and the second case, which is Phalam, in this case Phalam, indicates the object, you can say that Ramaha Phalam Khadati. Rama eats the fruit. But the case ending Phalam indicates that it is the object. The case ending Ramaha indicates it is a subject. And because of that structure of Sanskrit, you can make it Phalam Ramaha Khadati. Khadati Ramaha Phalam. Any combination you give, the meaning of the sentence does not change. Because it is case ending which determines where is the subject and where is the object. Like for Hindi, if you are saying that Ram ne phal khaya. The ne is the equivalent to the case ending, but it's a different word. And therefore you cannot say phal ne Ram khaya. Because it is the placement which is determining. But in Sanskrit, you can do that. Am I making sense?
Yes,
Yes.
Guruji.
Yes,
Because it is the case ending which decides. There is a lot of manipulation possible in Sanskrit. And that manipulation is put to use in these slokas. And therefore you will find that there is no logical flow of the language. That structure, subject, object, verb, it doesn't need to be there. And therefore all the verbs are mixed about. All the words are mixed about. For what purpose? To give it the chandaha, to fit it in with the meter of the chanting. So here it is Anushtup meter. It is, you'll have 8 syllables per half line. If you can see. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre, samaveta, yuyutsavaha. That is 8 syllables. That way. Okay. Now, with that, you have to look at the main sentence now. So first sentence about what? Sanjaya, or what Sanjay said. Second sentence is, you have to mix this around a bit. Raja, from the second line. And who is that Raja? Duryodhanaha. So Raja Duryodhanaha. Vachanam Abravit. The king named Duryodhanaha, Vachanam Abravit, spoke these words. So Raja Duryodhanaha, Vachanam Abravit. Okay. And when, what was he doing? Tada tu Pandava Nikam Vyudham Drishtva. When did the Raja speak? Tu. But Tada Drishtva. Then having seen what? Pandava Anikam. The formation of the Pandavas. Vyudham. The army of the Pandavas. Vyudham, which has been arranged in a particular battle formation. He saw. And what did he do? What did he do after seeing? Acharyam Upasangamya. He went to his Acharya. And then Vachanam Abravit. He spoke the following words. Okay. So let's try to make it easier for you, because there's a lot of mix-up. So we are saying that, look at the words. Pandava Anikam Drishtva. Having seen the army of the Pandavas, Vyudham, which was arranged in a particular battle formation, Raja Duryodhanaha, Tada. Tada here has to be connected to Drishtva. Having seen the battle formation, Raja Duryodhanaha, what did he do? Acharyam Upasangamya. He approached his Acharya and Vachanam Abravit. He spoke the following words. Okay, so is that clear? Any doubt about that?
No, sir.
Okay. What is Vyudham? Vyudham is a battle formation. So you may have heard of Chakravyu. What was Chakravyu in Mahabharata?
In that
So
battle formation.
Abhimanyu
The battle
was
formation.
a kind of battle formation.
It is a battle formation where, it is difficult to get out. And Abhimanyu had been trained how to get in, but was not trained how to get out. So the Vyudham means a particular manner of arranging the armies. And it represents a shape actually. So you have Padma Vyuham, which means something shaped like a lotus. You have Chakra Vyuham, something shaped like a circle, a chakra. You have Garuda Vyuham, something shaped like an eagle. So these are all battle formations. So to say tactical positioning strategies to get the maximum out of the battle, to trap the enemies. So Duryodhana saw the Pandava army arranged in a particular battle formation. Here Krishna does not say here Sanjaya does not say what is the formation. He just says formation. There was a formation which was there. And having seen that, Tada, Duryodhana approached his Acharya. Now here, You have to understand which Acharya did he approach? Anybody?
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya.
Why Dronacharya?
Because he was the guru.
He was the guru.
was
What about Bhishmacharya? Was he not the guru?
Dronacharya was also the guru of Pandavas, so that is why he was Dronacharya.
he taught them.
He's the official
Yeah.
guru.
So Dronacharya was guru, right? He was the guru of, he was the Yuddha guru, the one who taught the battle strategy. So he was the guru, he approached him. He's a Yuddha Shastra guru. So he approached him. And Vachanam Abravit. He said the following words. Okay, so this is the thing. What happened was that in this battlefield, first of all, the first verse says that Dhritarashtra spoke to Sanjaya. Tell me what is happening in the battlefield. Then Sanjaya said that what is happening is that Duryodhan has seen the Pandavas arranged in a particular battle formation, and he is now going to his guru, who is Dronacharya, and he is saying the following words. Which following words? Verse number 3. Let us chant. Please unmute yourself. Ashaitam Panduputranam Acharyam Mahatim Chamu Vyudham Drupada Putrena Avasishyena Dhimata. Okay. Now who is saying this?
Sanjaya.
No.
Duryodhan.
Duryodhan to his guru.
Exactly. You have to remember Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Okay.
Okay, so ideally speaking, this verse should have started with Duryodhana Uvacha or Raja Uvacha, but it's not there. So we have to mentally supply. Why I'm saying is this is the way that you are going to read the scripture. Okay, scriptures have to be understood in this kind of detail. Who is saying what also is not clear, but it is there, hidden away. Raja Vachanam Abravit. Ideally, it should have started with Sanjaya, with Duryodhana Uvacha. It's not there. So mentally we supply Duryodhana Uvacha. Okay. So, Pashyaitam. Pashya etam. Then Pandu Putranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. So one thing I want to say here is that you must clearly pronounce the words. Okay, like you must know the difference between na and na. First, Pandava, na. It's a like, and Pandu Putranam. Na, not na. It's not Pandu Putranam. Pandu Putranam. It is the other na. So these small things will be useful in your chanting classes. And that's why I keep saying don't miss chanting classes. Okay. So he says Pashya. Pashya means what? See. Remember, Pashya is also, we saw Drishya earlier, Drishtva. Pashya now is, he's saying, Hey Dronacharya, Pashya, please see. What? Etam. Etam is this. This is what? Pandu Putranam. This army of the sons of Pandu. Pandu Putranam. Army of the sons of Pandu. Acharya. Hey Acharya. So here Acharya is addressing. He's addressing it. Hey Acharya. So you can actually start the Anvaya with Hey Acharya. Etam Pandu Putranam Mahatim Chamum Pashya. Okay, so that is the Anvaya. Hey Acharya, oh teacher. Etam Pandu Putranam Mahatim Chamum. Mahatim is great, big, powerful. Chamum is another word for army. So Pandu Putranam, the suffix pranam indicates that a possession case indicates that it belongs to the Panduputras, of the Panduputras, Panduputroka. So in Hindi, Panduputroka army. That's what it means. So, hey Acharya, Etam Panduputranam Mahatim Chamu. This great army which belongs to the Panduputras, the Pandavas. Pasya, please see. Why are Pandavas called Panduputras?
The sons of the king
So
Pandu.
Pandu.
Pandu was the father. Name of this father was Pandu. Okay. Now, yeah. So, Acharya, Mahatim Chamum, you should see. Pasya. And how is it Vyudham? It has been arranged. It has been arranged in a formation. Tava. By whom? By Tava Shishyena. By your own disciple. So, Duryodhana is actually fed up. He says, you have trained somebody. Unfortunately, that person whom you trained is not in our side. He has gone over to the Pandava side. And Tava Shishyena, your disciple, has done what? Vyudham, has arranged that army. And obviously, if he is saying this, it means that that formation is a very formidable formation. It's a very strong formation. And Duryodhana is slightly, wary of it. He's slightly scared, such a strong formation. How will we ever beat them? And therefore he says, Tava Shishyena Vyudham. Your Shishya has arranged that formation. And Dhimata. So Dhimata is Visheshanam, adjective to Shishya. Dhimata means bright, very intelligent. So he says, Tava Shishyena Dhimataha. Your student, your Shishya has arranged, your brilliant Shishya has arranged this army. And therefore, Etam Chamum Pashya. Please see that army. Right? So Chamum is qualified by the adjective Mahatim, great. So Mahatim Chamum means great army. And further description of Chamum is Vyudham Drupada Putrena. That army formation has been arranged by Drupada Putra. Drupada Putra is the person being referred to as the person who has arranged the army, and Drupada Putra is the disciple of Dronacharya. And he says, Tava Dhimata Shishyena, your brilliant student has arranged that army. So the army had been arranged by Drupada Putra. What is the name of this Drupada Putra?
Drishtadumna.
Drishtadumna. Okay, so the name of that Putra is Drishtadumna. And what is the whole, to understand why he is saying this, you have to know the whole story. Why is he so upset? Why is he taunting his teacher? You have what you call taught this fellow. You have made him a qualified, good teacher, good student, warrior. And now, look what he is doing. He himself is fighting us. He has used all the skills that you have taught to fight us. Why is he saying that?
Because he's scared.
That is one thing. But what is the story of Drishtadumna or other of Drupada and Dronacharya?
The Drona and
they were not friends. I mean, they've had their differences. Drupad and Dronacharya, they used to study together, as far as I. And they had their differences when Dronacharya had gone for help. He was seeking his help, but Drupad said no to Dronacharya.
Let me give it very shortly, very briefly.
Dronacharya trained Drishtadumna.
Yeah. So let me give the thing very briefly. Dronacharya and Drupada were students in the same Gurukula. Okay, they were very good friends. So at one point of time, in a moment of being great friend or moment of weakness, whatever you call it, Drupada told Dronacharya that I will give you half my kingdom when I grow up. So that was a promise made. May not have been a serious promise, but Dronacharya took it very seriously. So after some time, when Drona came to Drupada and said, "You had promised me the kingdom," and Drupada said that don't be stupid and insulted Dronacharya and throw him out. So that is the insult to Dronacharya, which was very clearly in Dronacharya's mind. Then what happens is that there is a war, there's a fight between Dronacharya, because Arjuna has, by the time Dronacharya has become the guru of the Pandavas also, and therefore using Arjuna, Dronacharya goes and fights with Drupada and makes Drupada a captive. And then he says that I'm a fair man, so what I will do is I will only make you honor your promise. And what was your promise? Your promise was that you would give me half your kingdom. So he takes away, Dronacharya takes away 50% of Drupada's kingdom and releases Drupada. So Drupada is, that insult, double insult remains in Drupada's mind. So he does a yajna. And the purpose of this yajna is what? That I should get a son who will kill Dronacharya. So out of that yajna, Drishtadyumna is born. Okay. So this is what Duryodhana is referring to. He's saying that you knew that Drishtadyumna was the son of Drupada, and you knew that the sole purpose of his birth is to kill you, and yet you went and trained him. Okay, so it is because of this background that he's saying, hey, now look what you have done. Okay. Now, in the next few verses, he's going to talk about, Duryodhana is talking about the strength of the armies. So here he says, Pandu Putranam Mahatim Chamum Pascheta. See this huge army of the Pandavas. And who is the head of the army? Drupada Putrena. Drishtadyumna is the head of the army. Vyudham is a person who has arranged that formation, the formidable formation which we are seeing before us. And Tava Shishyana, he is your own Shishya, and Dhimataha, is a very, very intelligent Shishya, because he has learned the art of fighting from you only. And he is implying that, hey Dronacharya, hey Acharya, you knew that this Drishtadyumna was born exclusive to kill you, and yet what happened? You went and trained him. So, as I said, Drupada had done a yajna. Out of that yajna from the Agni Kunda, Drishtadyumna came. And the ironical thing is what? That Drishtadyumna went to Dronacharya to learn the art of battle. And Drona knows that whatever I am teaching him, he will use all these against me. So why does he teach him? It's a good question.
For the Dharma as a teacher.
Dharma Shastram says that once a qualified Shishya comes asking for knowledge, which I have, then there are nothing more to be seen. I only have to see that the Shishya is qualified enough to receive the knowledge. And if he has asked for the knowledge and I have that knowledge, I have to give. This is the Dharma Shastra words which describe the duty of a teacher. The teacher cannot say no to a qualified Shishya, which also means that even if the Shishya has no money, but he is qualified, the teacher has to teach. So this is how Dronacharya is being addressed by Duryodhana.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can
Why
I
does-
ask?
Why does he say no to Eklavya?
Exactly.
Why does he say no to Krishna? Because he's blinded
Same
by
here.
the attachment for Arjuna.
Okay.
So then he broke his dharma as a guru.
Yes, he did. So that all this is part of the Mahabharata, that you, in the best of teachers, the best, whenever emotion or attachment overcomes you, your intellect stops functioning. Okay. So all these lessons to be learned.
Thank you.
All right. Now let us look at verse number 4. So please unmute yourself and we will chant verse number 4. Atra shura maheshvasa
Maheshwasa
Bhimarjuna samayudhi
Arjuna
Arjuna
Samayudhi
Samayudhi
Yuyudhano viratascha
Yuyudhano
Viratashka
Drupadascha maharatha.
Maratha
Okay. So again, a description of the army. So atra, here, atra means here. Where here? In this Pandava Anekam, in the army of the Pandavas. So atra, shuraha. Shuraha means people who are experts in the art of war. So shuraha, experts. And maheshvasaha. So maheshvasaha is, ishvasam is a bow, dhanu. So maha ishvasaha means people who are expert in the art of archery. Maheshvasaha, people, men who have great bows, who are experts in the art of archery. And what kind of experts are there? Bhimaha, Arjunaha, Samaha. Samaha means equal to Bhimsen and Arjuna in their powers of fighting. Bhimaha, Arjunaha, Samaha. Where? Yudhi, in battle. And Yudhanaha. Now he starts to give the names. Yudhanaha, Virataha, and Cha. And that's another word. Cha is Sanskrit for and. A-N-D, and. So Cha. Virataha, Cha Drupadaha. Drupada means King Drupada. And Cha and Maharataha. Maharataha means Maharathis, people who are capable of fighting and leading a great army. So what is Duryodhana doing? He is listing out all the powerful soldiers in the Pandava army. Because he wants to know who it is that he is facing. So he is listing out all these soldiers. He's telling Dronacharya, these are the people that whom we are looking at. So Atra Shura Maheshvasa. All these, Shura is a person who is actually speaking literal meaning courageous, so not frightened. And therefore here it can be taken as great warrior. One with a lot of valor. So the courageous one, they are all Maheshvasaha. Maha Ishvasaha. People who have great powerful bows. And if you know the story, you will know that some of them have received these bows from divine sources. And therefore each one is a Maharataha. So Maharataha is another word. Another word for Maharataha is Maharathi. And it's a title given, if you look at the scriptures, it's a title given to certain soldiers based on their capacity to fight, the quality which they have, the expertise which they have, and the capacity to fight. So Maharathi. So Maharathi, literally, the meaning is the person who can single-handedly fight 10,000 soldiers at one time. He can single-handedly fight and defeat 10,000 soldiers. That is a person who is called Maharathi in the scriptures. So Duryodhana says here that Pandavas have got many such Maharathis. And then he says Ardharataha. You can look at the word. Ardharataha is also there. So Ardharataha is a particular level higher than the Maharathi. So you have different levels. You have Ardharataha, you have Maharathi. Different levels of people are there in the scripture, named as particular types of warriors in the scriptures. And here he says all these people are Shuras, Maheshvasas, and Maharathas. Courageous people having great bows and capable of fighting several thousand soldiers at one time. And therefore he says Bhima Arjuna Samaha. Almost every warrior, he says, in the Pandava army is as strong and powerful as Bhima and Arjuna. And he gives samples. Yudhana. Yudhana is a name, another name for whom? Satyaki. Satyaki was a warrior. Then Virataha. So Virataha is another name for whom? If you know the Mahabharata, you will know. Virataha means Virata Raja. Who's Virata Raja?
Jayadratha.
Arjuna.
Okay, we'll leave it for that.
Virata Raja is the king
Virat.
whom, to whom they had gone during the Agyatvas.
Yeah. So then, and he says Drupadaha, Draupadi's father. All these are great Maharathis. And then he says, it's not that these are the only people. There are many more. And who are they? So again, he gives another list. So here you will find that the next few verses are listing out all the very, very powerful warriors. So we will read verse number 5. So please unmute yourself. Drishtaketaschekitanaha Drishtaketuschekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shaibyascha Narapungavaha. Okay. So again a list of given. Drishtaketu, that is one warrior. Chekitanaha, Kashirajaha, Viryavan. Viryavan is adjective to these. Then Kunti Bhojaha, then Shaibhyaha, and Narapungavaha. Various names are being given. And look at the words. He says not only that Satyaki, Virata, and Drupada are there, but there are many more powerful warriors in this army. And Drishtaketu, who is one name. Chekitanaha is another name. Kashirajaha means the king of Kashi. Okay, that's a way of referring. Now the name has not been given. King of Kashi. And Viryavan. So Viryavan is Visheshanam. It is an adjective. It's not a name. Viryavan means the person who is very courageous. All these warriors are very courageous. So Viryavan Kashi Rajaha, adjective to the Kashi Rajaha word. Kashi Raja is also there, who is a very powerful and courageous warrior. Purujit. Purujit is another name. Kunti Bhojaha, another name. Kunti Bhojaha is basically another name for Kunti's father. So it's called Kunti Bhojaha. Then Shaibhyaha, another warrior. These are all great warriors. And Narapungavaha. So Narapungava is not a name of a warrior. So you have to rely upon commentaries to understand, because it's easy to say that Narapungava is another warrior, but Narapungava just means the greatest among Naras, greatest among men. So it's an adjective Visheshanam to whom? To Shaibhya. Where Shaibhya Narapungavaha. He says all this Shaibhya is the greatest among men, great warrior. And all these people belong to the Pandava army. And even as Duryodhana is mentioning names one by one, you will find that anxiety level is increasing. He is getting more and more worried because he sees there are more and more powerful warriors which he can see. So we will now chant the next verse, verse number 6. So please unmute yourself. There is not much of explanation required over here because basically only names. Yudha Manuscha Vikrantaha
विक्रांत
उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान्
समौजाश्च वीर्यवान्
सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च
सौभद्रो द्रौपदेवाश्च
सर्व एव महारथाः
सर्व एव महारथाः.
Okay. Again, more names. So he says Yuddhamanyuhu, one name. Vikrantaha, another name. Uttamaujaha, Uttamaujas. Again, Viryavan, not a name. Valiant, courageous. Saubhadraha, which is another name for whom?
The son of Subhadra, Abhimanyu.
Son of Subhadra, Saubhadraha. Is Abhimanyu. Draupedayaha, sons of
Draupadi.
Draupedaya, another name for Pandavas. Draupedayaha, sons of Draupadi. He says all these are there. And Sarve, all these Maharathaha eva. All these are powerful warriors indeed. All are Maharathis indeed. So Yudhamanyuhu, proper name of warrior. Vikrantaha, adjective to Yudhamanyu. Vikranta is not another name. Vikrantaha, adjective Yudhamanyu. So Vikrantaha Yudhamanyu, the powerful Yudhamanyu. Vikranta means strong, the powerful one. Uttamaujaha Viryavan. Viryavan, adjective to Uttamajaha, the name of another warrior. And Saubhadra, Abhimanyu, Draupadeyascha, 5 sons of Draupadi. And Sarva Eva Maharathaha. All these are great Maharathis. All these are very, very powerful warriors. Okay. Now again we look at verse number 7, which please unmute yourself and we can chant. Asmakam tu vishishtaye.
अस्माकं तु
विशिष्टाये
Tani bodha dvijottama.
Tama.
Nayaka mama sainyasya. Sangyartham tan bravimite. Now he says asmakam. First he says tu, but. This is but is to distinguish it from the previous sentence. So but asmakam, ours. Asmakam means hamara, ours. Vishishtaha. Vishishtaha means important in this context. Ye means those people. Tan is them, Nibhodaha, please know. You should know. Dvijottamaha. Dvijottama means person who is born twice. Okay, so a Brahmin is normally called Dvijotamaha. We'll explain later. So Dvijana Uttamaha is Dvijottamaha. Then Nayaka is a leader. Indi Nayak, same thing. Then Mama is mine. Sainyasya. Sainyasya is of my army. Sangyartham. Sangyartham means for the purpose of telling you. For the purpose of naming them. Sangyaya idam sangyartham. For purpose of telling you all this. Sangyartham. Bravimi, I will tell you. Te is you. So bravimi te, I will tell you. Okay. So again, you have to rearrange to be able to understand. So you have to look at this. He Dvijottama. Oh, twice born. Literally meaning twice born. And tu mama sainasya asmakam ye vishishtaha nayaka. He Dvijottama, he Dronacharya. Why was Dronacharya called Dvijottama?
He's a Brahmin.
He's a Brahmin. That is why he was called Dvijottama. He's a Brahmin. He should not have been fighting, but he was. Anyway, that will come later. So asmakam vishishta nayakaha. These are, now let us talk about the asmakam, of us. Who are the people who are important to us? Please, tan nibodaha. Please take note of them. Tan sangyartam te bravimi. I will tell you who are the people prominent in my army. So Duryodhana has been frightened of the other army. Now he wants to take count of the strength of his army. So he says, hey Dronacharya, I will now talk to you about the important people in our army. So he is giving a list of the important men in his army. So Dvijotama literally can be broken up into Dvija, Uttamaha. So Dvija is the Brahmana, twice born. So which are the two births for a Brahmana? Why are they called twice born?
I think that at the time of birth and then learning.
So there is the initiation into the Gayatri Mantra.
Into the Gayatri Mantra. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just Brahmanas, it is Brahmana, Kshatriyas. I mean, we are talking about the old caste system, the old Varna system, not caste system. In that Varna system, the first physical birth is the first birth. And the time when you are introduced into the Gayatri Mantra, what is the word? Which is
Upanayanam.
Upanayana.
Upane.
That is the second birth. So Brahmana, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are considered to be born again when they are initiated into Gayatri Mantra, and therefore they are called Dvijas, twice
Dvija.
born. Okay. Now here Dvija Uttama means, oh best, Uttama among those who are twice born. Best among the Brahmanas or the Kshatriyas, Vyasya. Here of course is a Brahmana. So here Dronacharya, we must remember, is a Brahmana, Brahmin. According to Varna Ashrama Dharma, the duties of the Varna, what is the duty of a Brahmana?
To teach.
Yeah, so there is a what they call, there are some words, they got 6 duties. Okay, so Yajanam, doing rituals and pujas. Yajanam, Yajanam. Yajanam is helping somebody else do. So the Brahmin does rituals and pujas, and Yajanam, he helps the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas and the Shudras to do their rituals and pujas. That is the first set. Yajanam, Yajanam. Then Pathanam, Pathanam. Pathanam is studying the scriptures. Pathanam is teaching the scriptures. Then there is Danam, charity, and Pratigraha. He can receive charity also. So, Etat Shatkarmani Brahmana Karmani. These 6 duties. Yajanam, Yajanam, Pathanam, Pathanam, Danam, Pratigraham. These are supposed to be the 6 duties. Fighting is not included. And therefore, in fact, in Mahabharata, somewhere you will find that Bhima, pulls up Dronacharya and says, you have no right to fight this war. You can learn archery, you can teach archery. So it's not that only a Kshatriya can teach archery, because teaching is very well within the duties, within the Varna Ashrama Dharma of a Brahmin. So as a Brahmin, you can learn archery and teach archery, but you are not supposed to fight. Okay, that's later on, you will find that in the Mahabharata, there is a scene between Bhima and Dronacharya where this happens. So he says, to come back to the verse, he says, Tan Niboda, may you know.
Acharya, what was the last one that you said after Danam?
Pratigraha.
Pratigraha, it's receiving charity.
Okay.
Okay, so the Brahmin can receive charity also. That is what is being said. And Asmakam Vashishta Nayakaha, the main warriors, the important warriors, leaders, Mama Sainyasya, in my army, Sangyartam Tan Pravimite. I am briefly telling this to you for your information. So with this, we'll stop here. If there are any, questions, we can answer them.
Sir,
Actually,
in verse 2, you had mentioned that how do we know that he's referring to the Acharya? It's Drona. How do we know that? I missed that part.
it
In
says,
verse
no,
2.
it says Raja Vachanam Abravit in the previous verse. Verse 2 is by
No.
Sanjay.
No. I'm saying that in verse 2, where there is a mention of Acharya, that Duryodhan goes to Acharya,
Hmm.
how do we know he goes to Dronacharya and not any other Acharya?
Because he's saying na, that you are the
That is-
person. You are the person who has trained Drupada Putrayana.
That is in verse 3, no?
Yeah, verse 2 is what? Verse 2 is you going to Acharya. Acharya Upasangamya. Having approached the Acharya.
So in verse 2, we don't know that he's going to Drona as.
That is why I keep saying you cannot look at individual verses and get confused. You have to look at totality. And therefore, verse 2 and verse 3 we will read together.
Okay.
In verse 3, he says, Vyudham Drupada Putra, he Tava Shishyena. So from the story, we know that Drupada Putra is a Shishya of Dronacharya. To add that to Acharya Upasangamya, and you know that he
Okay.
has gone to Dronacharya.
Okay.
So unlike English novels and Hindi novels, everything is not detailed. You have to read into each thing.
Okay.
Sir, Acharya, वो 6 duties of Brahmana एक बारी repeat करेंगे?
Let's see how many have understood. Somebody can repeat.
Yeah, I can repeat.
Yagyam, yajanam,
Yajanam,
pathanam, pathanam, danam,
Danam
pratigraha.
pratigraha.
So yajanam, patanam, danam, pratigraha.
Danam
Danam is
pratigraha.
giving charity. Pratigraha is receiving charity. These
Thank
are called
you.
Shat Karmani, the 6 duties of a Brahmana.
Acharya ji, one question.
Yeah.
So initially you were talking about Anushtup Chanda and you said that half sentence has 8 syllables.
Yeah.
But I really can't find 8 syllables. Even if I look at the first verse, I can only see 6. But
No,
you said-
Dharma to Kshetre to Kuru to Kshetre to 8 in the first quarter line.
Okay.
That way.
Okay.
Dharma, Kshetre, Kuru, Kshetre.
Okay. Got it. Thank
So
you.
there are 8 in each quarter, so 32 in the verse.
Okay.
Anushtup Chanda means 32 syllables in each verse. Trishtup Chanda means 44 syllables in each verse, 11 in each line. And here we have not yet come across Trishtup, so I can explain to you. Trishtup will be the first. Trishtup comes in second chapter, verse number 5. The entire Gita is written in only 2 chandas, Anushtup and Trishtup. So with this, we'll stop. Thank you for your patience. We'll see you next week. Om Purnamadam
Purnamidam
Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Purnamadaya
Purnamevavasyate
Shanti.
Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Have a